Everyone wants to live an inspired life, yet so many people search for happiness following the footsteps of peers and taking advice from people who have different values and outcomes to which they're searching. There are people born into wealth, graduated from the best universities in the world, and there are people who have none of that and yet are living extraordinary lives full of fulfillment and reward. The purpose of this podcast is to share insights and strategies that allow you to question the status quo and think freely, so you can design your life and be who you want to be. We get one life. Time is our most valuable asset. I believe that when we're free and able to focus on meaningful work, we become better human beings. This is Always Free, and I'm your host, Jason Graystone.
Welcome to the leading podcast for financial empowerment and wealth creation. Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. You can connect with Jason on social media and subscribe to the Jason Graystone YouTube channel for weekly videos. Don't forget to also subscribe to the weekly newsletter to receive frequent educational content and action steps to help you design your life so you can be who you want to be. For news on all future events and updates, go to jasongraystone.com.
Alright guys, welcome back to the podcast. Hope you've all had a wonderful week. And if you're listening for the first time, this is the number one podcast for financial empowerment and wealth creation. And if you haven't checked out the previous episodes, we're on episode 25 now. So plenty more episodes to go and listen to. And I recommend you go and listen from the start, because if you listen from the start, it's kind of it's a journey. You're going to learn about my story, and you're going to learn, and you're going to go through it in the right order, because I've deliberately kind of structured these kind of in an orderly fashion, if you like. So go and give them a listen. Give it a little rating as well. This week I just want to rein it back a little bit. Got a lot of questions about financial independence, and as I've been developing the new program that's due out next month, I've had a lot of kind of questions come up from some market research, and also how I've been testing the water with some of the methodologies and philosophies that have gone into the program, and the feedback that I've got from people on social media. So I kind of just want to go over what financial independence is, because I don't think I've done an episode where I explain what financial independence actually is. And there's a lot of different definitions out there. People kind of teach you one thing or teach you another thing, and everyone's got this kind of opinion of what financial independence is. And a lot of the time, it's a half strategy. It's a half truth. What people are telling you, you'll either get the people kind of telling you about, earning lots of income, and that's considered financial independence, or you'll get the people that are kind of talking about equity and building up a lot of equity, and that's financial independence. And the truth is, there are definitions to financial independence and financial freedom, and you need to be clear about the difference between the two, and you need to understand that actually it's quite easy to achieve them once you know what they are. I say easy to achieve them, it's going to require some work, but at least you've got something to aim for. At least you've got something tangible to go for and something to work towards, rather than it just kind of being this thing that you might hit one day. So, as I said, a lot of people kind of think financial independence is about income, and a lot of people think financial independence is about having a lot of net worth. And I've explained before, I know lots of people with high net worth, really low income, or not low income, but low, they've got they're very stressed because they've raised their lifestyle to the degree where they don't have any free time. And, that's not what financial independence is about either, because what's the point? So I just want to kind of recap really on what it is here, because there's an order in which you want to do things. So if you're going for, let's just split it into two phases, okay? Phase one is going to be where you get rid of, I call it the 4 Ps: proprietor, position, person, and place. So you don't need a boss. You don't need an actual position in a company. You don't need to rely on another person, and you don't need to rely on a place, a geographical location. Once you've got out of that job and you've left the job and you can work from anywhere, that is financial independence stage one, or phase one, if you like. So why is there another phase? Well, this is where we're generating income. What do we do in phase one? We generate income, whether that's through, trading, whether it's through other leveraged income streams where you create a product and service and that requires little of your time, maybe, or maybe it requires a bit more of your time, but you're a lot more mobile. You can, it doesn't have to be 9 to 5. You can choose when you work on it and so on. So it could be trading, it could be digital products, it could be, your online business, it can be poker, it can be, online poker, it can be you created a gadget, right? And you're going out and you're using that, either that skill or that service, to generate an income. And what you want to do is you want to raise as much income as possible. We always want to increase our income streams. And I've spoke before about raising leveraged income streams and the difference between the income types and the impact that those income types are going to have on you. Now, why do we use phase two? Well, phase two, the reason we go for phase two is because phase one isn't sustainable forever, okay? So it probably won't be sustainable forever. So let's just say, for instance, that you've got this gadget, you create a gadget or let's just use that for an example, and you're selling the gadget, and then one day the gadget kind of goes against the trend slightly and no one wants it anymore, or the sales go down, and you're not really, you can't continue to bring in that income. Even if it's a digital product, if no one wants it anymore, then you're not going to bring that income in anymore. Same with trading. Trading's very, very semi-passive, I would class it, because it requires, my swing trading takes me 10-15 minutes every day. So it requires very little time. It's my highest source of income, and it's passive, semi-passive, because it doesn't require much of my time at all. Because it's a zero-sum game, it means that I have to keep up an edge in order to use that skill to beat other contenders in the market, if you like. And that edge deteriorates over time. You have to constantly work on it. So it won't come in forever without me. So phase two is where you can continue to bring in the phase one income, regardless of what I call the 4 E's, which is economy, expertise, energy, or existence. So in other words, the markets can crash, your mind can go doolally, okay? You don't need your expertise anymore. You don't need to actually be able to move. There needs to be no energy in your body at all. And you don't need to exist. So you can actually die and the income will continue to come in. Now, this is where people kind of get a bit mixed up about income and equity, because it's almost like you want to use your income first to develop equity. So by siphoning off an ever-growing portion of your income into equity. But where people go wrong is they end up, this is what most people do. They raise their income, raise their lifestyle, get some equity, freeze it all in a house, and then they have to keep working. Whereas on phase two, what you want to be doing is you want to be switching it around. So phase one is about using your income to develop equity, and then phase two is using your equity to develop income. So like a bit like a golden goose that spits out golden eggs. And people get tempted, they see the equity there and they go and splurge it all over, and buy a load of stuff, when really they're not thinking about it as equity to serve the income forever. So that is much harder to achieve. Phase two is much harder to achieve, but the reason it's harder to achieve because people don't do phase one properly, and they don't plan for phase two because there's no end in sight. And phase two is really just about picking a number that's right for you, that you need to get to in order to maintain a level of income that you would love, regardless of, as I say, economy, expertise, energy, or existence. And what you do is you take that equity and you use it as a golden goose by investing it into the markets, the 4 rules of investing: asset classes, company risk, sector risk, time risk, and you diversify across all of that. Once you've done that, let's just say that you produce a very conservative 6% per year, okay? What would be the number that you would need? What would be the figure that you would need in a bank account to invest at 6% per year to bring in an desired annual income forever, regardless of your economy, expertise, energy, or existence. Let's just say, for instance, you used your phase one and you was going out and serving people and you was bringing in, highly efficient income streams using highly evolved business models or trading, and you brought in £1 million or $1 million, and you stuck that $1 million or £1 million into the market, into different asset classes, and you took into consideration company risk, sector risk, time diversification, and you were generating 6% per year. You would generate a £60,000 per year income from that £1 million at a conservative 6% per year. But that 60 grand would come in forever. Okay, so without dipping into the original investment. So it's not very complicated to do, but the reason it's hard to do is because people don't focus on this structure. They don't see it as two phases. They don't see it as two different levels of financial independence, and they don't know where they're going. So they just hope one day they're going to hit it big and that's it. But when they hit it big, as I say, they'll have the equity, but that will be either splurged out or frozen into stuff that doesn't provide an income. And you see sometimes when people build up businesses and they build equity up in their businesses and they get their business very profitable and they get it to a level where it's worth a bit of money and they go out and sell the business for an exit, that's great. But you hear people say, oh, if you sold your business or you cashed out on your business, surely you're not going to work anymore. And here's what happens. What they do is they take the money. Everyone that I know that's done it, because they're obviously very successful, very driven entrepreneurs, what they do is they take the money, they have a little rest, sit on a beach for a bit, and then they get straight back into it, because we're not naturally there to just sit and rot, really. So the successful people get it. They get the equity and they use it for more income. And while you're fit and young and you're healthy, I highly recommend you do that. Phase 2 should just be for the point where, you really just think, do you know what? I just want to turn this tap on now, and I don't want to have to go and serve as much anymore or any more at all. So that's kind of just a refresher, really, of the two phases of financial independence. Now, there's going to be people that say, oh yeah, but I don't have any, I don't have any income because I don't know how to earn income, and I don't have any equity, and I can't, let alone get equity to produce an income. I can't even produce an income. And my advice is to start with your knowledge. Start learning how to build highly efficient services or businesses, online products, online businesses. Learn how to trade, learn how to invest, siphon off a portion of your income every single time you get paid, either into your knowledge or into investments or into trading or into whatever it is you want to do to get to generate that leveraged income. And then you can start the perpetual motion, if you like, up the two phases of financial independence. And just lastly on this, if you're really at the bottom end and you're in debt, okay, now you want to get out of debt. I've spoken about, should I start saving once I'm out of debt? My answer is always no. You should start saving now because you want to build the habit of saving. It's not so much the amount, but it's the habit of saving. But if you're in debt, I really want to give you two powerful methods of getting out of debt. And there's two methods I'm going to talk about. One is the snowball, okay, and one is the avalanche. Now, you might have heard of these two. The avalanche method is better mathematically. It means you're going to pay off your debts faster and you're going to pay less interest. Whereas the snowball has a higher success rate, even though it's not mathematically the best way. And the reason it has such a high success rate is because it plays into human emotions. Humans want to feel good. They want to see progress. They want momentum. And the snowball method gives people that release of endorphins, that quick shot of, I'm doing well, because the snowball method focuses on paying down the smallest debt first. So let's just say you've got 5 different debts, okay, and you're paying off all these different debts. You don't look at the interest rate. What you want to look at is the minimum payments per month and the outstanding balance overall. And what you do is you attack the smallest payment first. So you pay the minimum payments across all the others, of the other 4. And on the smallest one, you try and chuck as much money towards that as possible, right? So let's just say that it's a £70 per month minimum payment. And let's just say, for instance, you attack that and you find another £50 per month and you chuck that at it as well. So you're paying, instead of paying £70, which is the minimum, you pay 120. All right. And then what happens is, once that's paid down, because it's the smallest debt, you carry that payment over to the next one. So you add that 170 to the next smallest debt, and you add it to that minimum payment. And then once that's paid down, you take the whole lot and you add it to the next minimum payment. And obviously the payments get bigger and bigger, and that's another advantage of this system, because you're planning it out. You can see how those payments get bigger as you get down the line, and that stops you from going to splurge again. Because the biggest problem with paying down debt is the feeling of, I haven't got any debts anymore and now I'm going to go and spend a load more money. That's not what we want to do, and this prevents that. So that's the snowball method. And then the avalanche method is very similar, except you look at the interest rates. You attack the highest interest rate first. So you put that one first, you attack that one with as much as you can, and then you roll on the payments to the next lowest, next highest interest rate, and so on and so on and so on. And it works out that you will pay that off quicker and pay less interest, but the snowball method has a lot of higher success rate. You might have heard of it from Dave Ramsey. I'm not sure if Dave Ramsey invented it, but it's certainly something he promotes. Just developed a tool, a calculator for people, so they can go and work out what the best method is for them. So it will forecast all of their payments, and that's going to be available inside my Tiers of Freedom program. But just to kind of summarize, right? There's 2 phases of financial independence. One is to get out of your job, grow income. Leveraged income streams, semi-passive income streams, passive income streams, and you want to siphon off a portion, an ever-growing portion of that, into your phase 2 account using time diversification, sector, company, asset class diversification. And you want to have a figure in mind that you're aiming for to get to phase 2. And to get any of this stuff, you need to work on your knowledge. You need to invest in your self-development to learn how to do this. And then finally, if you are in debt, don't let it stop you, but you want to get out of debt first. Okay, I do think that you want to get out of debt first. You want to make that a priority, but not to stop you saving. Okay, in fact, saving is going to help you get out of debt. If you've got £1,000 sitting in the bank, that's going to help with the whole process. Whether you use Snowball or Avalanche, it's just gonna please that animal brain. And whilst you're not thinking about an emergency coming up, you're not thinking about some hidden nasty coming around the corner that takes you off track, paying off your Snowball. So, covered a lot on that one. I wanted to go into getting out of debt and being recession proof, but I kind of didn't want to do 2 negative things in a row, but I'll do recession next week. So until then, give this little podcast a rating and a review for us. Share it with someone who you think it would be useful to, and go and listen to the other episodes if you haven't already. Until next week, have a great rest of your day and weekend, and I'll see you then.
Subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss an episode. For news on all future events and updates, go to jasongraystone.com.